here. Hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. Yeah, you're looking at the Cyborg again. So if you're not interested, then change the channel. But otherwise, I'm going to talk about a little bit of what I've done with this thing so far and what has happened with this thing. Now, as you can see, the top is not shiny anymore. It's got a dull finish to it. And the reason why is water is not your friend when it comes to wet sanding over wood, all right? And regardless of what your finish is on your guitar or whatever you're working on, using water to wet sand can cause some problems. And the problems are sometimes not easy to correct. Now, if you remember correctly in past videos, you saw green here and green here. Well, that was or like a fluorescent green type of tape. These were masked off, okay? So when I cut them out, it left it bare wood on the inside. So what I did is I coated the inside of here with a glaze coating on a brush. I did the same thing with this one here after I glued in the neck. Now, when I drilled out the holes for the bridge and the tailpiece, I didn't coat the inside of the holes with glaze coating. And usually I just mix a little bit up and then put it on a paintbrush and kind of just, go around the edges and everything and so like I did with these guys. I didn't do that. So when I did all that wet sanding and polishing on this, water seeped between the glaze coating and the wood, swelled up the finish around these holes. Well, a couple ways you can correct it. Now, you can set it off to the side, wait for it to kind of dry, see what happens, if it shrinks down or not, and start sanding it again. Well, what I did is I ended up taking a lighter and using the heat from the flame and just kind of putting it close to the finish, not to melt the finish, but just close to the finish to heat it up. In doing so, that brought the swelling down. But the problem is it brought it down a little bit too much in some areas. Like this hole here had a divot. Instead of being raised, it was reversed. So I had to wet sand this whole top. So what I did is I took some 800 grit sandpaper, wet sanded the whole top until this was all flush again. But you can't just do one area. You have to do the whole thing. Otherwise, you're going to have a wave over here. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to be perfectly flat. So now what I'm going to end up doing is basically going through the next 3 or 4 grits of sandpaper, which will be in the thousands, to be able to polish this back up again. Now the back of this, I had the same problem right here. Now the back of this, I didn't take heat and heat it up and see what happens as far as the evaporation or the wood drying. I left it alone. Instead, I just took some sandpaper and kind of leveled it off in this area over here. But I have to go over the whole back of this thing again with sandpaper. And as you can see, it's got a nice little shine to it going on to it. But I want this to be even with the body, and I want it to be nice and flat, and I want this to look like glass, so I got to take care of that one as well. Now I still have to clean up all of the edges inside of here to get all this dry dust out of it, and I want to coat the insides of here with the glaze coating as well. Now I did put some glaze coating around the insides. I guess there was one spot where I kind of overlooked a little bit and raised up over here when water hit it. So not a big deal, easy to fix. Again, there's about a 1/16 of an inch of epoxy resin all over this whole body. So there's enough room for air and sanding it. And now that I know moisture and what moisture is going to do, it's not going to crack it, but it is going to raise it up a little bit. And so now this side's all good and wet sanded with 800 grit. I can go to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, and then to the 3,000 grit sandpaper. 3,000 grit sandpaper, as you all seen, was making this like real easy to hand rub out and hand buff it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to skip to 3,000 this time, and because it's more of a sponge, it holds a lot of water. I'm going to go hit it with the 2,500. Instead of hand rubbing it, I'm going to hit it with the buffer. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it, and thanks for watching.